page 44, 9 and 11. Right, okay, does anyone need me to do any of those? 44 was evaluate, put the values back in for the letters. That was all fine? Right, I'll take that as a yes. Right, page 45, 11 and 18. X is on one side, numbers on the other, solve. We're okay? Right, page 48, 16 and 17. Okay, so they were solving or simplifying fractions. Anyone need me to do any of those? No? Okay. Right, and page 56 and 7. Can I do what? 6, yeah. So page 56 and 7, okay. It's it's a division. 3x minus 1 multiplied by something, right, will give me 3x squared minus 22x plus 7. So in order to get that multiplied by that equals that, it's a division. So what you really want to do is 3x squared minus 22x plus 7 divided by 3x minus 1. Okay, so I'm going to use the box. So, yeah. Sorry. So then I want to divide by 3x minus 1. And then I want 3x squared. And I want to put in my plus 7. And these two diagonals go together to give me minus 22x. So 3x multiplied by x will give me 3x squared. Minus 1 by what? Minus by a minus will give me a plus. 1 by 7 will give me 7. There's my answer up top. Just check it. 3x by minus 7 is minus 21x. Minus 1 by x is minus 1x. And minus 21x minus 1x will give me minus 22x. So my answer is x minus 7. Okay? And number 7 is the same as in it's a division. Do you want me to do number 7? Right, okay. Can I take this away? Not yet. Can I take it away? Yeah? Right, okay. So number 7 is 2x plus 7 multiplied by something will give me 6x squared plus 11x minus 35. That's just another way of saying if you divide 6x squared plus 11x minus 35 divided by 2x plus 7, you will find out what the something is. Okay, so it's just a different way of asking you to do a division. In your test tomorrow, it will be a straightforward way of asking you to do a division. There will be a division on it, right? And it will be a cubic division. Okay? So, sorry? Yeah, I'm going to do one right now after this, okay? Right? So, I want to divide by 2x plus 7. So you put your first term into your first box. You put the last term into your last box. And the two diagonals go together to give you the middle term, which is plus 11x. So then you ask yourself, 2x multiplied by what will give me 6x squared? Do the numbers. 2 by 3 will give me 6, and x by x will give me x squared. Then plus 7 by what will give me minus 35. A plus by a minus will give me minus. 7 by 5 will give me 35. That's my answer. What's the rest of the empty boxes for? They're just to check. So 2x by minus 5 is minus 10x. Plus 7 by plus 3 is plus 21x. And is minus 10 plus 21 plus 11? Yes, it is. So my answer is 3x minus 5. Okay, I'm going to do a cubic division. Now, Fee, that was the end of last night's homework, wasn't it? Right, I'm going to do a cubic division now, Fee, and then I'm going to do a few, solving inequalities and a couple more things because they're on your test tomorrow. Right, can I rub this? Oh yeah, I can, because you weren't even looking at that. Right, okay, so if I want x cubed plus 3x squared minus 10x minus 24 divided by x minus 3. Okay, so when it's x cubed, that means I draw a 3 by 2 box. So 3 across, 2 down. So you'll either be drawing a 2 by 2 box or a 3 by 2 box. This tells you which you're drawing. Okay, you're dividing by x minus 3. You put your first term into the first box. You put your last term into the last box. The first set of diagonals go together to give you the first middle term, which is 3x squared. And the second diagonals go together to give you the second middle term, which is minus 10x. Then fill in what you can. So x multiplied by what will give you x cubed? X multiplied by x squared. Okay? Then you have minus 3 multiplied by minus 24. So a minus by a plus is a minus. 3 by 8 will give me 24. Okay? Now you're not finished with the other one. It was handy. The boxes were just to check. But here you have to get this term in here. Okay? So fill in what you can. X squared by minus 3 is minus 3x squared. Right? Okay, and I can fill in this. X by plus 8x is plus 8x, isn't it? Right. Now, this is the tricky bit that people find. So you have to see what's in one of these boxes. Either box. Right? I'm going to do this box. So something x squared. So it's definitely going to be something x squared. So something x squared. Take away 3x squared will give me 3x squared. So what is it? 6x squared. Because 6, take away 3 will give me 3. Okay? Then you ask yourself, what multiplied by what will give me 6x squared? So it's definitely a plus anyway. And it's 1 by 6 will give me 6, and x by x will give me x squared. There's my answer. This is a check. Right, this box is just to check you're right. Minus 3 by plus 6 is minus 18x. And does plus 8x take away 18x give me minus 10x? Yes, it does. So my answer is x squared plus 6x plus 8. Okay, the girls that do the long division method, do you need an example done? Are you happy enough with those? Or I can do out the example your way if you wish. Do one, I will. Well, right, okay, so if you do with the box method, have some me time. Right, okay, so that's x cubed plus 3x squared minus 10x minus 24 divided by x minus 3. So remember, when you're doing it this way, you do first term into first term, and the second term looks after itself. So you go.
Please, would Kira Grant go to Miss Gary's office now, please? Kira Grant.
X cubed divided by x squared. Right, so I put up my x squared, and I tend to keep my x squared in a column because it keeps it looking straight. Right, then you multiply. So you divide, multiply, take away, bring down the next term. Divide, multiply, take away, bring down the next term. So you have 3 steps every time. So x squared by x is x cubed, and x squared by minus 3 is minus 3x squared. Next step is subtract. Okay, so to subtract you change signs. So this becomes a minus, this becomes a plus, and x cubed minus x cubed cancel out, and that's what you want to happen. So if that doesn't happen, you've made a mistake. 3x squared plus 3x squared will give me 6x squared. Then you bring down the next term, just one term at a time. So minus 10x. Then you go x into 6x squared goes how many times? 6x, yeah. So then you multiply 6x by x is 6x squared. 6x by minus 3 is minus 18x. Next step is subtract. So to subtract, you change the sign. That becomes a minus. that becomes a plus. They cancel. Minus 10x plus 18x is 8x. Then you bring down your last term, so minus 24. And then you do first term into first term. So x into 8x will give me plus 8. Then you multiply. 8 by x is 8x. 8 by minus 3 is minus 24. Change the signs and everything cancels. Okay? So there's your answer up there. Okay? Is that right? Are we okay with those? Reminded how to do them. Right. And either way is acceptable, but I would keep saying it, pick one way. Don't decide, oh, I can do it both ways. Pick one way and stick with it and get it right. Okay? Don't, because you'll get mixed up if you do it two ways. I get mixed up myself sometimes when I do it two ways. So, right? Is that okay? So the steps here are divide. So divide your first term into your first term, put up your answer. Then you multiply. Then you subtract, change the sign, subtract. And then you bring down the next term. And you're back to the beginning again. Okay? So you divide is step one. So first term into first term. Multiply, subtract, change the signs, and then bring down the next term and do it all again. And go back up to the start then. Okay? Are we okay with that? Okay. Right. I'm moving on from division. There's definitely a division on your test tomorrow. Right? It's definitely there. Okay? Right? So make sure you know how to do them. And it's a cubic division. It's not a squared one because they're too easy. Right? Okay? Gone? Going? Gone? Right. Okay. The next thing, girls, was your inequalities. Okay? So if I said solve 3x minus 1. Before I do this, I'm going to remind you, right? There's three things. You're going to be drawing x as an element of n, you're going to be drawing x as an element of z, and x is an element of r on your number lines. Okay, anyone tell me what n means? Natural numbers. So when you're drawing a number line for natural numbers, what'll I do? Dots. And what's the story with natural numbers? They're the only ones that have a starting point. Where is the starting point? 1. Right? Nothing below 1. Right? So it starts at 1 and goes up. And when you're drawing natural numbers, you draw dots. Okay? 2, 3, and an arrow goes that way. There is no arrow going this way because natural numbers don't go below 1. Okay? Z. What does Z stand for? Doesn't matter. Just tell me integers. And tell me how I draw integers. Dots again. So 0, 1, 2. They're supposed to be coloured in dots. Right? Minus 1. And you mightn't think it makes a difference if your dots aren't coloured in or not, but it does. Right? Okay. And then for real numbers, tell me about real numbers. Everything. Okay. So just mark in a few numbers. And because you want to include all the fractions and all the decimals and every single number in that line, you draw a big, thick, heavy line. Right? And arrows both directions because it goes forever both directions. Is that okay? Remember that? Okay. So we normally have to solve before we plot. Okay? So if I asked you to solve 3x minus 2 is less than or equal to 7 and x is an element of n. Right, this is for the end. Right, this is for the end when you come to draw your number line. And what's the story when you're drawing your number line? What will I be drawing? Dots. Right, okay. So then you build your wall. X is on one side, numbers on the other. So 3x is less than or equal to 7. And the minus 2 comes over the wall and becomes a plus 2. So you get 3x is less than or equal to 9. Then you divide by 3. And you get x is less than or equal to 3. So then you draw. First thing you ask yourself, 3 is my starting point. Right? Is 3 included? Yeah. Coloured in dot on 3. Right. Then am I drawing dots or lines, and which way am I going? Yeah, I'm drawing dots, so I do less than 3, which is 2, which is 1. Will I draw an arrow? No, why won't I draw an arrow? Because it's natural numbers and they're finished at 1. Okay, if that said Z, I would draw an arrow because it goes forever. If it said R, I would do a thick heavy line and an arrow because it goes forever. But because it said N, N stop at 1 going down. Yes?
When do you change your haircut?
Yeah, I'm going to do one of those now in a minute. You change it when you divide. You see here, I divided by a positive number. I divided by +3. Would you agree?
Yeah.
You need to reverse that if you divide by a negative number. Okay, it's the only difference is when you divide by a negative number. So I'm going to do one with a negative number now. Right? I rub this off? Right, so here's one with a negative number. Okay, where is it? This. Wait, no, I'll get one a bit harder than that. Okay, no. 7 minus 4x is greater than or equal to 2x plus 1, and x is an element of R. Remember, that's just for the very last line. When you draw the number line, what will I be drawing? Dots or a heavy line? Heavy line. Right? X is on one side, numbers on the other. You're flat out there texting on you, are you? Yeah, will you put the phone away, please? Right, X is on one side, numbers on the other. So, build your wall. There's my wall. 7 is moving. Minus 4x is here already. It's staying here.
Minus 2x.
Yeah, minus 2x when it comes over. Greater than or equal to, the 1 is already over here, so that's 1. Bring the 7 that way. What happens to it? Minus 7. So I'll get minus 6x is greater than or equal to minus 6. Now what do I need to divide by? What do I need to divide? I need to divide by a minus 6, don't I?
Yeah.
So when you divide by a negative number, this is the only difference between inequalities and equations, right? When you divide by a minus number, what do I need to do to the inequality sign? Reverse it. Okay, so was it greater than or equal to, now it's a less than or equal to. Is that right? So you get x is less than or equal to minus 6 divided by minus 6 is plus 1, isn't it? So then I'm starting at, where am I starting at? 1. Is 1 included? Yeah, because it's less than or equal to 1. So coloured in and dot on 1 to show I'm starting at 1 and I'm including it. Then I'll be doing a thick heavy line, but just throw in a few numbers just to show me which way is less than 1. And then do your thick heavy line and a big arrow to show it goes forever. Do you remember those? Yeah. So yes.
You know, we have to draw the colour in the circle at 1.
Yes.
Do you have to do that? Like, what do you think? Like, just draw a line?
No, you have to do that. So can I point out, girls, right, you know, if there was no equal to sign on this one, right, so just say this was the question, right? Okay, so you ended up with x is less than 1, not x is less than or equal to 1. Does everyone see if this was a different question? I'm still starting at 1. Is 1 included this time? Is it equal to 1? No. So how do you show you're starting at 1 but not including 1? Is you draw an open circle on 1. Do you remember that? Okay, so say I ended up with x is less than or equal to 4. I'm starting at 4, but 4 is included, so closed in circle on 4, mark in a few numbers, thick heavy line, there you go. If you ended up with x is less than 4, so it's not equal to 4, I'm still starting at 4, but I'm not including 4, so that's an open circle on 4, right, and mark in a few numbers to show which way you're going, and a thick heavy line, and be careful not to colour in your open circle after you've drawn it. Does everyone understand that? So if 4 is part of the answer, colour in the dot. If 4 is not part of the answer, don't colour in the dot. Okay? We got it? Yes.
The question we just did was an arrow after the 1. Like on the other side of the line.
Up here? No, because your answer is going this way. It's not going that way. So if I put an arrow there, I'm kind of implying that that way is included and it's not. It's only less than 1. So I'd only put the arrow on the side where the answer is. Does that make sense? Yeah. Right, okay, are we all alright with those? The next section is simultaneous equations. Do you remember how to do simultaneous equations? Not really, no. Right, okay, so let me pick a hard one. X plus 2y equals 8. 2x plus 3y equals 14.
Miss, will this definitely be on the test?
Yeah. You don't hate them, they're great. Right, okay. You look at the y's, right? So if you find them hard, girls, just look at the y's. And you ask yourself, is the number in front of the y the same? What number is in front of the y here?
2 and 3.
What number is here? 3. They're clearly not the same. So that means there's a multiply step. So the multiply step is you multiply the opposite ones. So this is a 2. So that means multiply the second line by 2. And this is a 3. So that means multiply the top line by 3. Is that okay? So if I had something like x plus 5y equals 4, x plus 2y equals 3. I just made up this one now, but what would I multiply the top line by? 2. What would I multiply the second line by? 5. If this was y and a 7, what would I multiply the top line by?
1.
By 7. What would I multiply the bottom line by? 1. Because there's a 1 understood to be there. Is that okay?
Yes.
Right. So whatever's in front of the y's, that tells you what you're multiplying by. And you do the opposite line. Got it?
Yeah.
Now, the biggest mistake people make is when they're multiplying by 3, they don't multiply absolutely everything by 3. Everything has to be multiplied by 3. So it's 3 by x is what? 3x. 3 by 2y is 6y equals 3 by 8 is 24. And you have to multiply everything in the second line by 2. Every single thing. 2x by 2 is 4x. 2x by 3y is 6y. And 2 by 14 is 28. Then you ask yourself, right, is the numbers are the same now? Great. Is one a plus and one a minus? No, they're both pluses. So what will I do? Change the sign of one of the lines. Which line? Your choice. Okay? So your choice, whichever line. Okay? So which one do you want me to do? Second line. Right? So this changes to the opposite of what it is. So what sign is here? None. What sign is understood to be here? Plus. So now it's a minus. This plus becomes a minus. And this no sign. Again, it's understood to be a plus. So it becomes a minus.
You change every sign.
Every sign, and you change it to the opposite of what it was. So if it was a minus, it becomes a plus. These all happen to be pluses and they became minuses, but sometimes there's a minus in there and they become a plus. So you change it to the opposite of what's written there. Okay? Then you squash. Plus 6y minus 6y, 0. Cancelled out. Gone. And that's what you want to happen. So if that doesn't happen, you've made a mistake. Okay? 3x take away 4x. What's 3x take away 4x? Minus 1x. Or minus x, yeah? Minus 1x minus x, same thing. 24 take away 28. What's that? Minus 4. I'm nearly finished. I don't want to know what minus x is. What do I want to know? X. So what's plus x equal to? 4. Yeah, just change the signs. Okay?
Why do you change the sign at the end?
Because you don't want to, you want, this tells you minus x is minus 4. But I want to know what plus x is. Right? So if I change the sign on one side, I'd have to change the sign on the other. Right? So then you take your top equation. Right? You can actually take, look, you 4 equations. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can take any one of the 4, but I always go for the top one. Because then I have a procedure. So everywhere I see an x, what will I put in? 4. I've just figured out x is 4. So 4 plus 2y equals 8. This is a case of build my wall. Y is on one side, numbers on the other. 4 is moving. 2y stays put. 8 is staying put. The 4 comes over the wall and becomes a minus 4. So you get 2y is equal to 4, and then I divide by 2. So you end up with y is equal to 2.
So you divide by 2 because it's 2 y.
Yeah, because it's 2y. Yeah, you divide by whatever is stuck to the y. Right? And that's your answer.
Yeah.
Right? Be able to do one of them for me?
Yeah.
Right, okay. You know, the next section, girls, is applications of simultaneous equations. It's like word equations, whatever. I'm not giving you those, right? Okay, so I'm not giving you those. So you can leave out.
Like, remember when we had one, there was like the coins and it was like that. It was like 20 cents. Yeah.
Yeah, no, leave that out. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not giving you one of those. I'll give you straightforward one like that. Okay? So you can leave out section 2.9. It's basically simultaneous equations with words. I'm not asking you them. Right? Okay? Yes?
You know, for the first part where it's plus 2 and then it's plus 3, what the next, do they give you like a minus 2 plus 3?
Ignore the signs. Ignore the signs. Just leave them the same until you get to here. And then if they're both the same, you have to change one sign. But up here, the signs, just ignore them. Right? Some people do the signs and the numbers all in one go. I like to do them in 2 steps because then you don't get mixed up. Right? Okay, leave out section 2.9. Right? And section 210, girls, was changing the subject of the formula. Okay, which is what we did quite recently. So x minus y equals 2z. Make x the subject of the formula. This is an easy one to start with to remind us. How do I make x the subject of the formula? I get x equals everything else. So build a wall. Everything with an x in it stays on the left hand side. Everything else goes over. Leave the x. Minus y is moving. 2z is over here. Great. Minus y comes over and becomes a plus y. And that's it. Job done. X equals everything else.
So when they're asking you to find what the name of
It says make x the subject of the formula.
So if we like make k, it would be k equals
K equals everything else. That's all.
Can you use example where it's like
Where it's harder.
yeah.
Right, okay. I'm going to do a one with a fraction in it. Right? Okay, I'm going to do one with a fraction in it. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Right? Okay, so I'm going to do one with a fraction in it. Do you all see this? Right, okay. When I have a fraction, it doesn't matter what branch of maths I'm in or what section it is. The minute you have a fraction, what do I have to get? Common denominator. So I'm going to put these over 1, because you can put anything over 1. Right?
What ones do you make? What you're making the subject of? Which
X again. Sorry. So X again. Right? Okay, so I'm getting a common denominator. So I need a common denominator for 3, 1 and 1. What's common denominator? 3. So I go 3 into 3 goes 1 multiplied by whatever's above the line, which is an X. Then I have a minus sign. 1 into 3 goes 3 times 3 multiplied by whatever's above the line. Right? 1 into 3 goes 3 times 3 multiplied by whatever's above the line. Okay? So what can I do now? Because I have an equal sign, what am I allowed to do? Drop the common denominator. Okay? So I'm allowed to drop the common denominator only because I have an equal sign. If there was no equal sign, I'm not allowed to drop it. Right? So multiply out. 1 by x is x. Minus 3 by 2y is minus 6y. 3/8 are 24. Now I've got rid of the fraction. Now I can concentrate on making x the subject of the formula. So build a wall. Leave the x. X is equal to 24 plus 6y when it comes over. Job done. Now that ended up being quite easy near the end, but let's do another one. Let's see. Sorry, is that down? Can I put it up?
yeah.
Right. What if I had something like 2x minus 1/3 equals y over 3? Right, again I want to make x the subject of the formula, but I don't need to worry about that for the moment Because for the moment I have fractions. So what do I do when I have a fraction? Get a common denominator. So put that over 1. Get a common denominator for 1, 3 and 3. What is it? 3. So you go 1 into 3 goes 3 times 3 multiplied by whatever's above the line. Then you have the same sign. 3 into 3 goes 1 multiplied by whatever's above the line. Okay, and over here 3 into 3 goes 1 multiplied by whatever's above the line. Is that okay? What do I do now? Drop the 3. Why can I drop the 3? Because there's an equal sign. Okay, I'm going to keep getting you to say it so you don't drop it when there isn't one. Multiply out. 3 by 2x is 6x. 1 by 1 is 1. And 1 by y is y. Is that okay? Now, I want x equals, so that means if the term has an x in it, it goes left and everything else goes to the right. So 6x stays put, y stays put, minus 1 comes over the wall and becomes a plus 1. Now what's stuck to the x? So you divide each side by 6. The 6's cancel here and you get x is equal to y plus 1 over 6. That's your answer. Is that right?
So when something's stuck to the x, you have to divide.
Yes. You divide by whatever is stuck to the x. Now, and you might come across one where a letter is stuck to the x, as in you might get ax equals 7 minus b. We'll just say something like that when you end up. What have I to divide by here? What's stuck to the x? So you divide both sides by a. Is that alright? So you divide by whatever's stuck to the x.
So it's A1.
Is a1, we don't know what a is and we don't care. We just stick it underneath the line. Okay? Right? Are we okay? I think that's the end. Yeah. Right? So leave out section 2.9 and do a bit of revision, girls. Okay. Right? And it'll be straightforward questions from the book. I won't do what I did to you the last day. Okay? Right. Okay? So it'll be just straightforward questions from the book. Now will you clean your tables if you're leaving? You can have lunch here if you want, but clean your tables when you're done.